and welcome. I am Ladi Akeredoluwale. Tonight, former President Olusegun Obasanjo blows hot again, insists the Buhari administration has failed. Presidency says comment by the former leader does not reflect reality. At least 25 persons are confirmed killed in attacks on 2 communities in Borno State by suspected Boko Haram terrorists. Residents of Dapchi and Jos in Yobe and Plateau states seek God's intervention in prayers for the release of lawyer Sharibu from Boko Haram captivity. And South African anti-apartheid campaigner Winnie Mandela dies at the age of 81.
And on business news tonight, economic analysts recommend a reduction in key interest rates as CBN's new Monetary Policy Committee prepares to hold first meeting for 2018.
On sports news, West Bromwich Albion part company with manager Alan Perdue after 4 months in charge and 8 successive defeats in the English Premier League.
And from Abuja, ahead of the 2019 general elections, Primate of the Anglican Church, Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, decries tension in the polity, asks leaders to unite Nigerians.
We'll begin tonight with former President Olusegun Obasanjo's not backing down on his stance that the current administration has failed to meet the yearnings of Nigerians. Chief Obasanjo, who dismissed the excuse of the Buhari administration that it met enormous challenges when it took over power in 2015, said there's no room for excuses by the government since it was voted into power to tackle challenges. The former president was speaking in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, while hosting some youth and challenged the young Nigerians to rise up and provide the much-needed new generation of leadership for the development of the country. This comment is Chief Obasanjo's second outburst this year after a letter he released highlighting some of the mistakes of the president in January.
The point is this: when you have an ineffective and incompetent government, we are all victims. And don't let anybody deceive you. Those of you who are in business, your business will have been better today if we have a competent and effective and performing government. It will happen. As I said, giving excuse, we met many challenges. Now, if there are no challenges, then you wouldn't need to come. Yes. Yes. Huh? If there are no challenges, you don't need to come. And you come in because you know that there are challenges. And then giving us excuse that you have many challenges, that's why you haven't achieved result. And then you still want to go. The first lesson I learned in my military training is never reinforce failure. What we have now is failure. Never you reinforce. Never you reinforce failure. Let failure be failure. I'm gone. And if you do not see what you should see, you will then be a victim of what you don't like. Because it's only when you see what you should see and you do what you should do that you put away what you do not like. If you don't see what you should see and you don't do what you should do, you will be a victim of what you don't like.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Meanwhile, the presidency has reacted to the statement made by the former leader, describing the present government as a failure. Mr. Femi Adesina, the special advisor to President on Media and Publicity, told Channels Television that the former leader did not say anything new about the Buhari administration, but the government has taken it upon itself not to join issues with the former leader. He insists that the Buhari government will keep making reference to the failures of the past administration, but will not see it as complaining when it is dealing with the challenges of the country, as highlighted by Chief Obasanjo. Mr. Adesina insists that in spite of the benefit of the price of crude oil under the past administration, the nation was run badly, especially with foreign reserves drained, but that now the country has more savings. He says the Buhari government has made considerable efforts in improving the economy and infrastructure in the country.
I would like us to establish is that President Muhammadu Buhari will never join issues with former President Olusegun Obasanjo. One, former President Obasanjo was a superior in the military. President Buhari was indeed the minister under him, under his military regime. So President Buhari will never join issues with him. Two, what former President Obasanjo just said is not different from what he said in his letter of January 23 this year. And an adequate response has been given to that letter by the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. So the response that Alhaji Mohammed gave to that letter suffices for what former President Obasanjo said. It's an opinion. And the thing about opinion is that they are free. Every person can voice his opinion. And what we did in response to his letter was to point out the things we were doing. Different infrastructure works, different kinds of achievements in different sectors of in economy and in national life. The strides the government has been taking. Those are on record. And that is what I will refer you to in response to what former President Obasanjo said.
Special Advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina. Well, our efforts to get a representative of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, into our studios for more on the latest comments by the former president were not successful. But we have the National Publicity Secretary of the Opposition People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Mr. Kola Ologbondiyan, live from our Abuja studios. Good evening, Mr. Ologbondiyan.
Good evening, laddie.
Now, it's quite possible that you might be feeling a bit upbeat after hearing what the former president had to say. But Chief Obasanjo's position is that neither the APC nor your party, the PDP, has the wherewithal currently to solve the problems of Nigeria. What will you say to that in light of his latest comments tonight?
Well, for us in the People's Democratic Party, the comments of President Olusegun Obasanjo on the failures of All Progressives Congress is a vindication of what we have been saying in our party, that the President Muhammadu Buhari his administration is a gross failure in whatever area you look at it. But be that as it may, our position in the People's Democratic Party, in respect of former President Obasanjo's comment that our party, that the People's Democratic Party is not an alternative, we disagree with him because we believe as a party that what we need is not to continually change platforms every 4 years. What we need is to strengthen the two political parties and allow Nigerians a process of choice. Now that the APC has failed, the People's Democratic Party is undergoing a rebranding. The People's Democratic Party has repositioned. The People's Democratic Party is reforming and is working on the generation next that will come and help the nation out of the woods where the All Progressives Congress has pushed it into.
Now, there are quite a lot of people who would say that, and indeed the APC has said, that they're blaming your past governments in the country in the last 16 years for the problems they inherited, and that it is in the course of solving those problems that they're having these challenges, many of these challenges. So how do you think people would look at it and think that the PDP at this point, having been out of power for just 3 years, but having been in power for the last 16, is a viable alternative?
the People's Democratic Party is a viable alternative because you spoke that the All Progressives Congress had ruled for 3 years. In almost 3 years, in a couple of weeks it will be 3 years, and in almost 3 years, APC has failed to implement the littlest of its campaign promises. APC has demonstrated that it just has no capacity and capability to deliver on any promise or to fulfill in any area of infrastructural development. On account of that, Nigerians believe, and the People's Democratic Party has offered itself as the most viable alternative to the All Progressives Congress. And as such, we believe that Nigerians will entrust their vote in us once again and test us. And as a matter of fact, we are reforming. And we have new crop of younger men and women who are desirous of making this change. And we have come with an agenda of Generation Next, which is to mentor younger men and women to participate in the process of governance, whether in the party or in government. And in view of this, we believe that Nigerians can entrust their votes in us. What has APC done in its almost 3 years of existence? President Olusegun Obasanjo, when he was elected president in 1999, could have sat down and refused to do anything. And if he was asked, he would have said that the military did not leave anything in the nation's treasury, and the military, plundered the nation's resources, and as such, he cannot perform. He didn't do that.
Mr. Ologbondiyan, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut in at this point. We've completely run out of time. We want to thank you very much for coming into the studios. Mr. Ologbondiyan is the National Publicity Secretary.
Thank you very much,
PDP.
Thank you very much.
If there is one thing the Buhari government says it is proud of, it is what it calls the Agricultural Revolution Initiative. The federal government says it dreams of a food-sufficient Nigeria and that it said it is coming to reality gradually with the efforts being made in the rice production across several states of the Federation. The Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, at a press conference in Lagos, says the efforts over the last 3 years are now yielding positive results.
The country has never been close to self-sufficiency in rice, a national staple, than now. Our target is to achieve self-sufficiency in our paddy production in 2 years, that is by 2020. This has been made possible by the purposeful leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, who has consistently said that this nation must produce what it consumes. Recall that President Muhammadu Buhari launched the Anchor Borers program on November 17, 2015. The program aims to provide farm inputs in cash and kind to smallholder farmers in order to boost local production of commodities, including rice, and to stabilize inputs supply to agro-processors and address the country's negative balance of payments on food.